All right, so there's something that's common across a lot of different sports is the fact that a lot of different athletes will incorporate distance running in their program. And I think there's a major flaw to this, all right? So if we look at gifted rotational athletes, so throwing athletes, pitching athletes, or MMA striking athletes, what they're really good at is, if this is the ribs and this is the pelvis, is this kind of motion like that. They rotate in the same direction. And this is the opposite to what gifted runners and sprinters, elite level runners and sprinters would be able to do, because they need this kind of action to happen. So it's opposite. And as you specialize in one thing, it comes to the cost of not being good at the other things. So the problem when it comes to incorporating distance running in there is, for example, with a rotational athlete, so let's say a pitching athlete or an MMA athlete, they don't need to do a lot of running, so they don't require that skill. And then they're not going to be very good at it because they've specialized at this. So when we get them running like this, the technique's very flawed, and this can have negative repercussions from a recovery standpoint, or even just getting banged up from doing a lot of those things. Now, the other point is that to be very good at running, what we need to do, so let's compare this to sprinting. So sprinting, we have very short ground contacts. When that foot hits, it's straight back up, and there's that explosiveness to it. But with running, we've got slightly longer ground contact times, and we're going to sink into these contacts a little bit. And what this is referring to is muscle slack, and what we need to be good at. So let's say it's Australian rules football or it's soccer. We need to be actually good at controlling this muscle slack from an energy optimization standpoint, and just from a technique standpoint. You need to do a lot of running, so it makes sense to invest time in getting better at running. But if we flip the switch, and an elite baseball pitcher or an elite MMA striker does not need to be able to run, and they certainly do not want to be encouraging their body to use muscle slack. That's going to reduce explosiveness. That's going to reduce power. So that's something we can live with if we have to do a lot of running in the sport. But if we don't have to do a lot of running in the sport, then it's something that we don't want to be incorporating, especially when there's so many different options that we can utilize to develop the cardiovascular system. And for example, MMA athletes, they need a high level of conditioning, but they don't need to be able to run. So there's other options we can use that don't carry negative consequences, but can still contribute to helping the athlete get better.